Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Student, right? So how that object will be there in the memory, and when you write the dot equal, how it compares?
See, we are calling this equals method on S1. So what happens in this line? An object gets created and there is a reference variable S1 which is referring to the object. Okay? And in this line, a new object gets created and there is a reference S2 that is pointing to the object. So I am calling a method equals on the first object and I am passing the parameter as the second object. That's what I'm doing here.
Right, but I mean, I was just curious to know, like, if you give dot equal and equal to signs, then how it checks, like.
See, when you say equals, what is S1? It has the reference. It has the address of it. So when both the addresses are equal, when both are pointing to the same object, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they are equal, like, let's say when I say S2 is equal to S1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then S1 equals to S2 is going to be true. See, this specific thing is going to be true only when both the references are pointing to the same object, which is in this case. I have an object, S1 is pointing to the object. I make S2 also point to the same object. Then S1 equals S2 returns true. Of course, when both are pointing to the same object, they are equal, right? There's no point in doing this, but they are equal. So S1 equals S2 returns true only when both the references are pointing to the same object, which is the case here. Are you clear, Sarosh?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
No problem. But folks, even they are meaningful objects, the double equals doesn't return true here because it just checks for both the references to be pointing to the same object, which is not the case. They are two different objects, right? So S1 equals to S2 returns false, but we are comparing only the roll numbers for them to consider equal, and they have the same roll numbers. So the equals method considers them to be equal and returns true. And folks, this is like, S1 dot equals S2 is same as S2 dot equals S1. I don't know if you call it as a symmetric or reflexive, but S1 dot equals S2 yields the same result as S2 dot equals S1. Both the results are always going to be same. And it should always be consistent. If S1 dot equals S2 for the same values is true, it's always true. It's consistent, and if S1 dot equals S2 is true, then S2 dot equals S1 is also true. And folks, there is a method hash code which you have seen, which returns an integer on the object. So folks, what is the purpose of this hash code? When this method, like, it returns the hash code on the object. So what is hash code? And hash code is nothing but an integer that is written on the object. So how this initial is used? So folks, when we put objects in memory, when we in the code, when we try to add elements to a collection, or when we try to add elements, some objects into the memory, right? Instead of putting these objects randomly in memory, the Java internally uses hash code to decide on where exactly you want to put it in the memory. So folks, for easier understanding, let's say the memory is divided into small chunks or small pieces of memory. So let's say when you put an object, the Java calculates the hash code, and depending on the hash code, it says, okay, put it in bucket 1. Or, depending on the hash code, it says, put it in bucket 4. So when we try to search for the object, let's say, we use the contains method to see if an object is already present in the collection. So when we say that, instead of going through the entire memory, the Java again calculates the hash code on the object, and it goes to the specific chunk of memory. Instead of scanning through the entire memory, it goes to the specific bucket, and it searches for it only over there. So that if equals method returns true on two different objects, the hash code should be same. Both the objects should return the same hash code. So when we override the equals method, we have to override hash code method also in such way that if equals is returning true on two different objects, both the objects have to return the same hash code. And the other way, if two objects return the same hash code, they need not be equal. Same hash code doesn't mean they are equal. But if they are equal, both the objects have to return the same hash code. So, any doubts on this equals and hash code? They are the important things in Java.
So you are saying in a hash code you can have multiple objects?
No. See, we call hash code method on an object, right? How does a hash code have different objects? I'm trying to say that, we can get the hash code of a specific object by saying object.hash code. If I want to get hash code of a student object, I say s1.hash code. It returns me the hash code on the specific object. Instead of this, right? I can say hash code. Hash code method returns me an integer, which is the hash code on that object. 64 is the hash code on this object.
So Neha, equal method, right? So whenever we have user-defined object, that time when we use the equal method, so we have to compulsory use the hash code method, you said, right?
Yes, we have to override the hash code method also.
Right, but
we can call the super class, the object class hash code method also. Many times we don't really write our own algorithm because it's kind of a complex algorithm. There is already many algorithms that are built for hash code. So we usually don't override the hash code providing our own implementation, but we do that in very rare scenarios. Especially the banking domain does it. Out of my experience, mostly the banking domain does it in this months and months in hash code algorithms. But many scenarios we don't really provide our own algorithm for hash code. Instead, we call the super class hash code. Super.hash code, it calls the object hash code basically. Or we can override it by using, by the specified fields that are defined as part of the object. We can use those fields, multiply them with specific, specific scalars and add something over to it, and we could do all that.
So in case if we are just comparing plain two strings, we don't need then a hash code method over there, right?
String class, the Java people who have written the string class, they have already overridden the equals and hash code method.
Okay, got it. Okay.
String is not a user-defined class. It's already written by the Java people. So when they wrote it, for strings and wrapper classes, they have already overridden the equals and hash code method. And they are final classes. We cannot change anything with those classes.
So if somebody asks that how the dot equal method works, then we have to give the example of the ones you have a reference of. Then we can say that in user-defined object.
Exactly. See, right? When we don't override the equals method, it calls the object class, right? When we don't have a method that is defined in the class. So what Java does, it looks for a method in the superclass, right? And that specific behavior gets executed. So here the superclass is the object class, and it executes the behavior of the equals method in the object class. The behavior in the object class is double equals. Is just double equals. So the double equals return true only when both the references are pointing to the same object, right?
Right.
If that doesn't work, if we want to compare our objects meaningfully, right? So we need a change in behavior. So when we need a change in behavior, what do? We override it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we override the equals method.
Right. Okay. Right. And
does it make sense, Sarosh?
Yes, it does. But I'm just asking that in an interview point of view, if somebody asking that how the dot equal and then equal.
In an interview perspective, if someone asks you the difference between a double equals and equals, double equals returns true when, let's say I have S1 and S2. Okay? I have two differences. I say S1 equals S2, and I can say S1 dot equals S2, right? S1 equals S2 returns true only when both the references S1 and S2 are pointing to the same object.
Right.
Then I override the equals method to compare my objects meaningfully. S1 dot equals returns true when objects are meaningfully equal. They might be two different objects, but they are meaningfully equal, right?
Right. And do we have to mention there then in anything about the hash code method?
Yes. When we override equals method, we have to override hash code method also in such a way that if equals method is returning true on two different objects, they have to return the same hash code. Because to find or searching in the memory, Java internally uses the hash code method. Internally uses the hash code basically. So if equals is returning true on two different objects, both the objects have to return the same hash code. But if the hash code is same, they need not be equal, right?
Right.
That's what, if you explain hash code also, in addition to, apart from explaining the difference between double equals and equals, it adds more weight. Even if you don't answer, I'm sure that the interviewer is going to ask you about hash code. If you tell it prior, it adds weight to your answers, of course.
Thank you, Neha. Nice explanation.
So Neha, I'm a bit confused. So when equals is invoked, then first hash code is checked, like whether the hash code.
No, see, if you just exactly call the equal, it doesn't invoke hash code. Okay. When I just say dot equals, it does not use the hash code. But when you try to put it in a collection, right? And when I check contains, in that scenario, it uses the hash code method also, because it does when I say equals against an object, it doesn't go contains. It doesn't check with each and everything. It just goes to the specific part of the memory and checks the objects only in that specific place.
Oh.
But when I'm explicitly calling that dot equals in the code, the equals which get executed. There is nothing inside it. It is just the behavior of the equals that gets executed for. When I say dot equals, it is just the equals method.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. So basically, we kind of contains method actually first doesn't mean.
I'm just giving you a specific instance where the Java optimizes, the Java memory management optimizes it to limit to search only in the specific part of the memory instead of going against the entire memory as such.
Okay. So, then actually, means, so let's say I didn't override my hash code method, and then I just try dot contains of the method. And
sometimes it might not, contains might not give you the result that you are expecting to get. If I already have a specific object, I expect the contains should return true, right?
Yeah.
It might not work sometimes. You can give the specific examples to the interviewers, whenever you are not really sure about explaining. So sometimes when you override equals but not override hash code, the contains method might not function properly as expected.
Okay.
But when you explicitly call equals method in the code, it calls the equals method and it doesn't have anything to do with the hash code.
Yeah.
Are you clear, Sachin?
Yes.
Neha, two questions. So when you are overriding the hash code, you need to always code the same thing, whatever you have coded here? Or?
No. Hash code is just up to you. You can provide whatever behavior you want.
Okay, you just
but
randomly...
the rule is when two objects are considered equal using the equals method, they have to return the same hash code. That is what you have to follow. The implementation of hash code, you can do anything. But you should adhere to the bottom line. The rule is if two objects are considered equal using the equals method, they have to return the same hash code.
Here, if you print s2.hash code, it will also give 54, is it?
It gives 34 because the functionality of hash code I have implemented it that way, right? I can implement my hash code to return it. The implementation could be random, but it does not. It's not the proper way of providing the hash code. Now I think the implementation I have provided, it returns the same, right? And I can provide this also, but there's a thing like a random number, right? But I shouldn't be doing it instead of they have a third random in the math class, which returns a random value. Random. And I multiply it, let's say, by 1,000, and then I'm saying I'm rounding it because it's going to be a decimal number. Yes, I'm rounding it, right? So at this instance, it returns a different number, right?
Yes. So what you are saying is if two objects are using that equal function, so the hash code should be same.
Yes, that's how I have to implement it.
Yeah.
If I do this, even for two different objects, even for like the same object, it returns a different thing, right? This is my bad implementation. I should not write hash code this way. They are considered equal using the equals method, right? Okay, let me just try it. See, these two objects are considered equal using the equals method, right? But these two objects are returning the same hash code. This is bad. I shouldn't be overriding hash code method this way. That's what I'm trying to say. When these two objects are considered equal using the equals method, they have to return the same hash code. You understand this, Venkat? This is the bad implementation of a hash code. Even though the objects are considered equal, they're returning this different hash code, right? This is a bad implementation of a hash code.
And you said another thing, right? If two objects are equal, then the hash code is same. But you said if hash code is same,
if
then
hash code is same, the objects need not be equal.
Can you give one example for that?
From a hash code method, I can always return the same integer. There is nothing that stops me from doing it, right? I can always say return the same integer, right? In this scenario, even for two different objects, right, it's going to return the same hash code, but they are not equal, right? I say here, the equals is written false, but still they return the same hash code. This is fine. This is acceptable, but the previous thing is not acceptable.
Okay, so this hash code is nothing but a location on the memory where this object is residing. Is that what you are trying?
I cannot say it's the exact location, but the location is deduced from the hash code. I cannot say if it is reading 34, 34 is the address on the memory. I cannot say that. But the location in the memory is deduced from the hash code. Okay?
Okay, yeah, got it.
I don't really have words to say how important these two methods are. Folks, any other doubts? Folks, in tomorrow's class, we'll be discussing about the, about the IO. And I think we're almost at the end of Core Java. We discuss IO, and then in further classes, we will move on to SQL basics. IO is not a kind of use might not be used in all the processes, especially when you're dealing with files and all that, reading a file, opening a file, reading the contents of it, and reading them as new line characters. That's what is part of IO.
Is it because the traditional file system is being desired, we are not using IO? Can I make that assumption?
I'm sorry? The traditional?
File system is not used by many of the companies. Can I assume that IO operation, IO, whatever the IO that you are going to cover, is not used in many of the projects?
It's not like that. It's not about traditional. See, usually we don't want many scenarios like you don't want to put a file in a specific location and read it, because that could be changed, right? When we move from in a real-time scenario, when we move from one box to another box, under Linux boxes, of course, we don't use Windows boxes for the QE or production environment. You cannot have a specific path to, read files, pass in files, and do that. So instead, we provide the files in the class path. And the IO is not just about reading the file from it. It's about, how you are reading it also, even when you get from the class path. Let's say, there are some inputs. Let's say a specific scenario wherein you use this is every day we we get a Excel file which contains the newly joined employees, the addition of new employees or the termination of employees. So, there's an Excel that we want to read and process it. Right? In that specific scenario, even nowadays we use file systems. But the projects that are based on file systems are, have less take on the total number of projects. And that I can say.
Neha, when we use when we have to take any report, we have to give any function like print function, so we use file system for that.
Print, you can just let's say, let me put it this way. Hello? If you want all the logging to go to a specific file, you write to your file, right? I'm writing it to the console. Instead, you want to say, I'm going to ask you, let's say, I want the output of all the programs that you did, right? I know every time you copy from the console, do it. Instead of that, every time your output, instead of doing system.out.println, let's say you're writing to a file, right? You want to write to your file and you share the file with me, right?
Yes.
Console is the kind of output that we see. And, you can write, it's the output that is written to a console. System.out is not the you can use like, or you can use the input output to write your file on,
Like for example, we have any web application, and in that web application, suppose we have any banking application, and in that, if we want to take a report, print off any report like my account report or anything, so we use file system for that or anything else?
No, we don't use file system in that case. File system is business of files. We use like reporting tools like a Vivo, or the widely used reporting is Hyperion in the finance domain. So we use those kind of tools for reporting purposes.
What is that tools?
Hyperion. It's not a tool. It's a kind of honestly, I can say we use Hyperion. We have the basic Crystal reports. We use the business objects for reporting. We don't really do that with file systems, right?
We don't need any type of implementation for that.
It's a different thing altogether. Like Java, it's a different kind of, it's a different cup of tea.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like in that we need any print function for that, so we need something.
No, we don't do that. Such kind of reportings or like, with a large volume of data and different kind of filtering, everything. I mean, we use like sophisticated reporting tools for that. If you're talking in the specific example that you have mentioned in finance domain, if you want to get some accounts of specific persons and all that, we really don't use file systems.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem, Chintan. Folks, any other doubts before we end the class? Folks, we have classes on weekdays, 9 to 10:30 EST. I'm just reiterating it. We have classes on tomorrow, like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week.
Okay.
Okay, folks, if you don't have any doubts, let's call it a day. And, I thank everyone for attending this class. And please practice. The more you practice, the more you understand things. So, please practice. And good night, everyone.
Yeah. Just FYI, the trading class videos, just ask them to upload it, please.
Yes, Uday, I understand the importance of the recording classes, and I'll sure talk to them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Thanks.
You also told us that you will send one multi-threading book.
No, it's not a multi-threading book. It's a C-shaped book. I just forgot. Let me, keep. Let me keep a reminder.
Okay.
I should thank you for reminding it. Okay, folks, any other things?
No. Thanks.
Okay, folks, let's meet in tomorrow's class.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, folks, good night, everyone.
Good night.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website h2kinfosys.com. On our website h2kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.